Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Euria Industries series. It's been a while, right? So, on this episode, it's going to be quite a shorter episode. I feel like what I wanted to do, I was already able to make in this short speed build. Even though it says it's short, it's not that short. It's actually like 3 hours worth of footage that I've made faster. But yeah, so today we're gonna be working on the place that it's going to be between this Baso forest and then the Tegi mine yard. I wanted to make kind of like a transition zone over here. So yeah, you're gonna see that after, but right now I'm just working on extending the train line. But you guys are seeing it. So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a underground station for the Tegi mine yard. I think it was really fitting for this area, and that way would be a much easier transition for me to get, because, well, if I had it like on the overground or, on normal ground, then it would be a little bit more difficult because, well, I would have to make kind of like a really nice transition that goes into from like all foresty vibes and stuff to kind of like a mine yard, and it wouldn't be as easy to make. But if I did it going underground and then all of a sudden they appear on this station underground, that would be, I feel like it would be much better, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think it turned out pretty great. It also was a good way for me to try to work in a area like this where I am really constrained by floor and by the roof actually, and by the terrain. And I want to make kind of like a mine yard. Like, I wanted to keep the exact same aesthetic that I used for Copper Rumble and Iron Burst. Iron Burst? Was it Iron Burst? Or Metal Burst? Sorry. But yeah, I wanted to keep kind of like the same aesthetics of like it being kind of like a mine and all that. So I think I achieved it. I would say you guys will see the results in a second, but it was a really tedious job to make because, well, terraforming and building underground, it's kind of difficult. And I was also building underground while going below the actual pathways that were set up above, so it was way more difficult even. So yeah, I did that, but in the end it turned out pretty great. I also had some problems with like the terraforming of this exit and the entrance and all that, but in the end I ended up making it pretty good and realistic, I would say. Always, you see over there me always fighting with the pathing tool. I am really a fan of the pathing tool, but there's some situations where I'm like, ugh, it's kind of stressful, But yeah, not much else to say on that department. This first half of the video will be part of the video that I didn't film, that I filmed before the April update came out. Or not the April, I think the March update or the April update. I'm not sure. But the other part of the video is going to be one where this latest update was actually released. I didn't get to play that much with it. It was kind of like more of a quality of life improvements and all that, and a couple new rides and a couple new coasters. I think they added the Vekoma SLC on this update, which I'm really happy about because it's a roller coaster. It's painful. I'm not gonna lie. It is a painful roller coaster, but it is also a really beautiful coaster to look at, honestly. Like, that kind of track is a really nice track. The Arrows Vekoma track piece is really aesthetically pleasing track piece, I would say, or at least I consider it to be that. Such as, I don't know, B&M ones, B&M track pieces, I think they're so pretty, so pretty. But yeah, not much else to say on that department either. It's just I'm not going to be playing with that on this episode. I might be on some other episode, but I am using the new wooden pieces that came with the Western theme that are really what we needed, because the only wooden pieces that we had were the Viking ones, which were fitting for the mine area because, well, at the end of the day, it's a mine and you need to have a little bit of a iron every here and there, but in some other places this didn't make any sense and it was not really fitting. So I think that it is a really nice addition, and I'm really happy that they are going to continue adding these kind of scenery pieces. I'm really happy, but I have to say that I kind of am ready for them to be adding as well a couple of DLCs, maybe. I'm not saying that they should stop releasing these updates, because these updates, at the end of the day, they're really good updates, honestly. The game right now is now in a really playable state, I would say. or I would consider it to be, on a playable state now. So these updates have been really good, and it showed that Frontier cared about how we saw this beautiful game that it is, and it is a really beautiful game, and they actually cared about how we felt about the game. So I am really happy about that, but I think that we are now ready to get some DLCs. Not DLCs in the style of what our first DLC that they released was, which was a complete failure. I think that if they continue that way, the greed will be too much and they will not make us much money. As if they focused the DLC in adding some more rides and some more coasters, of course, but on top of that, adding on the scenery pieces in new management features. For example, adding new maps and new worlds, expanding on the career mode, for example, would be a really good thing to do as well, I think. And all that kind of stuff, I think that the first DLC had really good rides. The problem is that those really good rides are not enough for you to charge $10 for it. I think that DLC should have been a DLC that was charging like what, 350 euros or something like that. Just kind of like how I don't even remember, the Monsters, the Back to the Future, and those kind of the small DLCs that were released on the first version of Planet Coaster were there. Like those DLCs were actually, I would say, kind of expensive for what they were given, because they were not giving that much, but they were scenery pieces, and they included scenery pieces that were really important for detailing and all that. I think adding a little bit more of that and charging that price would have been a bit more realistic price point, but they got greedy. Honestly, I would pay those $10 if it included at least 2 more scenery themes or scenery pieces, or even more. I mean, I would pay $10 if it included 10 roller coasters or 10 rides and roller coaster, but it included 5. And of those 5, 2 coasters only, which one of them felt like a reskin. So yeah, it was not a good step. But I think that in the state that, looking at how they seem that Frontier has listened, I think that we would be in good shape to start getting new DLCs now. I don't know if you guys agree. I think, of course, I cannot expect them to release... The perfect thing would be for them to release new free updates that include what DLCs would include. But I think that's not a realistic approach for this, because at the end of the day, that would be a free update. I don't think would attract as many people to buying the game as a new DLC would. It would attract some people to buy the game, and it would attract the people who already own the game to get some more money. And we gotta understand that at the end of the day, this is a company that needs to make money in order for them to be able to continue supporting this game. And there's nothing else that I would rather than this game to be continued supporting for years and years to come. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's an important thing to take into account. So yeah, some more, I don't know, DLCs that I would like to see are DLCs that focus more on the management features. I really, really, really would like to have also continuously moving platforms for roller coasters to recreate or do coasters that would feel like something like Hagrid's Magical Motorbikes Adventure, however it's called, in Universal Orlando, or roller coasters like the Wild Mice and spinning Maurer car coasters would really benefit of that. I would also like to get a Maurer X car, but without the like Star Loop kind of model. So be able to have block sections on the Maurer coaster, because we're not able to right now. So you cannot create something like Rip Ride Rocket, which actually, I have to say I love Rip Ride Rocket. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of Rip Ride Rocket. I don't get the hate. I feel like it has really good forces. That first drop, it's really cool, and the non-inverting loop makes me gray out every single time. That roller coaster has really good forces, and yeah, it can be rattly, but I love it. I do understand the problems that comes with it, though. It is a really problematic roller coasters. According to a lot of people on YouTube, you can also see it, and according to some friends that I have that work at Universal, yeah, it is a pretty problematic roller coaster, so I do understand that roller coaster is leaving. Also, talking about Universal, Epic Universe is open now. or not open. Is it open? I'm not sure if it's open. Well, anyways, I've been seeing stories of people going to Epic Universe. I don't know if it's a preview. I think the preview has already passed, so now it's people going in, guests going in. I'm so jealous of them. Honestly, I need to go to Epic Universe. I need to try that Stoffer Racers new ride, which looks amazing. But I especially want to go to the Isle of Berk section of the park, the How to Train Your Dragon. I feel like it's one of my favorite animated movies, honestly. When I was a kid, I used to love that movie, and I think I would thrive on that area. And I also, some stuff that happened lately, I've seen some maps and some concept arts for the Universal that's going to be built in the United Kingdom, which, wow, amazing. It is kind of sad on my side. I have to say, I feel kind of sad about that, because the main reason that I feel kind of sad is because that they were obviously Universal, or as far as I know, the Spanish roller coaster community was really pumped because Universal was in talks to acquiring PortAventura in Salou. And I don't know if you guys have been to PortAventura, but it's a really famous park for having really bad operations. The operations of PortAventura are something like I have never seen. I've been to some parks that have really bad operations. Well, for example, Hershey Park has really bad operations as well. I'm not gonna lie, those operations in Hershey Park are not good, but they're nothing compared to PortAventura's operations. It's been a while since I have been, but some friends that I have been told me, and that have worked as ride operators as well. They're not really huge rides and roller coaster fans, but they have worked as a ride operator, so they know what they're talking about. Looking at the operations, they were stuck in every single train on Shambhala, even though they were running on 2 trains, which is something that doesn't make sense to me doing. Honestly, they have no seatbelts. It's just a clamshell restraint that they need to pull down, and that's it. But they took a long time to check seats. And I have seen that people were running Furious Baco on only 1 train, and horrible interval as well. I've seen people go there in Halloween. They had 3-hour queues on every single ride. So yeah, I was excited for Universal to take over because, well, Universal is one of the parks that I've gone to that has one of the most consistent and best operations in all of the parks that I've been. Sometimes even better than Disney. I don't know how to talk, apparently. But yeah, I completely got really distracted with this whole situation. But yeah, I built a spinning coaster. This is the Maurer spinning coaster. I wanted to make one because, well, I wanted to have something in the middle of the forest and the Teggy Mineyard, as I said. And I think that a spinning coaster, a family spinning coaster would be really fitting. And I wanted to build another roller coaster because it had been a while since I didn't touch Planet Coaster 2. So I wanted to build another coaster. I had the itch for it. So I built this really quickly and really fast. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. You're going to see that the coaster goes a little bit lower than usual, so I had to dig a little bit of terrain over there. And then I thought that I could make so that it feels like a transition between zones. I could make it be kind of like a zone that it's kind of like in the middle of a forest, but then in this drop over here, it would go into kind of like a trench or something, and it would go inside of a building that would be themed around mines and all that, just like the Teggy Mineyard right next to this coaster. So I think it turned out pretty great. It's a really casual family coaster that I haven't calculated the capacity of it, but it has a dispatch interval time of 15 seconds, which is pretty good, probably thanks to the load and unload stations. Of course, in Planet Coaster, also in real life makes having an unload and loading station different and separate makes the coaster much more efficient, but especially on Planet Coaster, because since until the unload people haven't left the platform fully, the loading guests are not able to enter the coaster, and the coaster is not able to, settle down and stuff. Even if there's no seat checking over here, it does take a while for the restraints to go down and for people to go into the coaster and all that, and it takes away a lot from the efficiency, especially because, well, if people have gone out of the doors of the station, you know what I mean, then those doors are closed. The train could be dispatched in theory, and it should be dispatched. But in Planet Coaster, it doesn't happen like that. They need to fully leave the station because that's how it's programmed. So in order to have like a really, really, really efficient roller coaster, you need to have a loading and unloading platform. That's the whole thing, and you need to. There's nothing that you can do about that. So yeah, we have a loading and unloading platform, and as I said, it's every 14 seconds actually. I think you're able to release a train over here. Let me do the calculations right now. Actually, I have my phone over here. Let me calculate real quick. So it's a theoretical, like the capacity of this coaster is in theory of 1,028 people per hour, which is a lot for a spinning coaster with this low capacity. This is of course supposing that the trains are always full, which are not always going to be because a group of 3, and then if it comes a group of 4 after, then you're going to leave that car empty in real life. But in here, it's fine. I guess it's absolutely, it has no problem with that being like that, I feel like. So it does feel most of the seats most of the time from what I've seen. But yeah, you're seeing me now adding the final touches to that area, and then you're gonna see me build the whole exit and entrance and all that. And I wanted this to not have any stairs, so I made it look like it's on a hill. The station is on a hill, but it's actually not. It's just I elevated the terrain and that's it. And then I'm gonna use a couple of the brushes of the forest and scenery brushes, which I am a huge fan of. I gotta say, those brushes are the biggest time saver of this whole game, and it is a really good asset to have, because before I was basically doing the same but manually, and so having these is such a great thing to have. So I'm really grateful for Planet Coaster of thinking about that. It was something that I didn't know that I wanted, and I actually needed on Planet Coaster too, but Frontier was ahead of us in that aspect, I feel like, or at least ahead of me, because I didn't see that coming, and it is something that I really am grateful for right now, because it's a really good asset to have and a really good addition to have. So yeah, really happy, really happy about that. You're seeing me build the queue right now, and with that, we're gonna have to fight a little bit with the pathing. As always, this is nothing new. We're gonna have to have a little bit of a fight with the path system in Planet Coaster, which is a little bit frustrating, not gonna lie, but well, it's better than the pathing system on Planet Coaster 1, so it's okay. But yeah, I'm also having some trouble with the park. For some reason, there's not as many people as I would expect it to, and I guess it's because of the park rating. But even if my park rating is not that high, in like literally sandbox games that I've done before this one, people would still come into the park in like huge amounts of people, even though the park was just a couple coasters plopped down and that's it, and more people came into those parks than this one. So I don't know what's happening over here, but I guess I'm gonna try to solve whatever's happening, or it would solve itself in the future, I hope. But for the moment, I'm just gonna have to leave it like that. But yeah, also one thing that I'm seeing that we are building the whole car skin, to give it a little bit more of an irony, kind of a steampunk-ish look. The situation with the animatronics, I think they should be scalable. And I don't get why they are not. I think they should be scalable, and for us to be able to scale them, because I see some rotating like wheels and stuff that I want to make them into kind of, I don't know how do you call those, but like those little things that twist in a mechanism, and have them around this. And I was actually not able to do that because I wasn't able to scale them down, and they were too big for it. So yeah, that's something that I would also love to have added into the game. But it's no big deal. I can wait. That can wait. It's not one of the most important things that I think needs to be added into game. And yeah, I think we're coming close to the end of the speedboat. You're gonna see me build another flat ride apart from this coaster over here that turned out pretty great, and the overall looks pretty nice, I gotta say. I didn't build any coaster building per se on this coaster, because I think it would be kind of like a secondary coaster that wouldn't need that much of a building or anything. So yeah, I didn't build any. Also, I didn't feel like it. I didn't want it. And yeah, you're now seeing me placing all the foliage and all the remaining stuff that will give a better look to this coaster. And I swear that in Planet Coaster 2 it's so easy to make coasters look pretty. You just you just create a custom foliage brush. So like a foliage brush a scenery brush for low plants, so like flowers and stuff, a scenery brush for medium height plants, so bushes, a little bit taller bushes, and then a scenery brush for big plants, which is trees. And then you get a beautiful landscape, honestly, a beautiful landscape. You can put a couple of rocks over there if you want to, if you feel like it, but you don't even need it. And I don't even do it because I feel like it looks great as it is. But yeah, you're seeing me now build this this flat ride over here. This is part of the DLC, I think, actually. And it is a good ride, but like the fact that on the DLC we had to... am I wrong? I think it was part of the DLC. If it was part of the DLC, but yeah, the fact that we had to have on an actual DLC that we were paying for, a ride that was basically not even a new ride, because this is a reskin from a ride that was existing on Planet Coaster 1 but less themed. For me to have to pay for that, no ma'am. Honestly, yeah, they slipped really hard with this. But yeah, you're seeing me using this ride, and I'm going to create a little bit of a roof for this. I quite like creating circular roofs for this kind of rides. I feel like it's a really simple way to create a new skin and give it a new life, and to integrate this ride inside of an area without actually touching the ride, because the ride doesn't have a single thing on it. It's just this roof. The roof is actually the thing that's making it all look cohesive, you know? So yeah, I just made it kind of like a custom roof, because when we're doing kind of these roofs, I need to make them custom because there's some pieces that wouldn't fit otherwise. But yeah, it was really easy thing to do. It's really quick. It's a really quick thing. Also, it doesn't take long. And yeah, with that said, after that, I think there's nothing else that I built. I don't think so. I'm not too sure, but I don't think so. But yeah, really happy with how this turned out. I ended up expanding the Basil Forest area to this. I was at the beginning going to make it 2 different places, 2 different areas. But then I said, well, yeah, how would I call it? Would I call it in any other way? I would have to switch the employees from side to side and all that, which is quite a big job to do. So I decided that I was not going to do that. And I was just going to let it be. And this is going to be part of the Basil Forest, because it's basically kind of like it has a foresty. So yeah, just leave it be, let it be, and live, laugh, I guess. But yeah, there's nothing much else to say about this. So we're gonna go jump into real-time mode. I'm gonna show you guys what I did, and then we're gonna finish up this episode, I guess. All right, and here we are on real-time mode. So there's a couple things that we did. First of all, and the latest thing is this. This is the I don't think it has a name. Does it have a name? Yeah, Chainsaw. This is Chainsaw. This ride, beautiful. Doesn't have a single person with... Oh no, it actually does. It actually does have a big of a queue. It also has fast lane, because I didn't add fast lane to this coaster. First of all, because it didn't fit. Like, I couldn't add a single fast lane here, because I'm not able, and that's something that I think we need to change, but we're not able to add entrance and exits through the side, which is something that doesn't make any sense to me, but we're not able to do that. And then also, having fast lane would be really hurtful for the capacity of this ride. I think that they don't have to wait that much. It's not a ride that it's really slow. As I said, the interval is actually of like 14 seconds. It's a really good interval, as you guys can see. We'll do a POV of that in a second, but yeah, it's there's that, I guess. And then we have this ride with this beautiful roof that I built, that it's completely custom. There's not a single thing that it's not custom on that roof, and I think it looks great, except for the actual... Yeah, hold on. Let me rotate this a little bit, just like that, so that this pillar is not actually in the middle of the control panel. But yeah, and then apart from this coaster, we updated the whole train situation. So the train would come this way, and then we would go this way. We would go underground over here, and then this has a lot of lights and stuff, so to give it a little bit of more of a moody look. And we end up in here, and then we get out. As you guys can see, the train is over here, so we would get out, and it gets out this way, and it would go away from the area up to the next area, which I don't know what it's going to be. You guys can tell me also. I need a couple ideas for some areas. I have some ideas for some areas, but I also need some ideas to fill this whole area up because it's really big. It's a really big area that I need to fill out, and there's a couple rides that I think I know that I want to add, but some others I'm not that sure about. So yeah, my main focus might be this area again next episode. I also switched the color of the roof because I felt like it was too bright, and I think this one's much better. This color is much better. I also want to give a little bit more tweak into these coasters in terms of scenery, not in terms of the actual layout. I think the actual layout is fine, but the scenery needs to be changed, and I will eventually open it when we have more stuff to do over here, because right now we don't have that much. We also have the entrance and the exit for the train station, which is down here, and this building houses the queue for the train, which is not a big queue. But I mean, the train has a really big capacity, and my idea is to have a couple trains running around. So yeah, it's fine. And I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to show you. Honestly, I think I would say that this area, this complete like Beso forest and all that stuff would be completely finished. Maybe I would add a little bit more here, but that would be part of Baser Town. I think that, as I said, this is going to be a little bit more of a flat ride or a tractor ride place area or something that people can go below the train tracks. I don't know. I still don't know about that, and I still don't know what I'm going to do, but I do want to fill this out for people to be able to look at this better in a nicer way, you know. But that day will come. Right now it is not coming. We are going to ride this roller coaster though, so let me ride it for a second. Hold on, because I think I have the whole game silenced, I think. And yeah, I did have it silenced, so let's go ahead and ride it. Oh, and we're just It is nothing out of the ordinary, actually. It's pretty tame, but again, it is what I wanted to do. So we're gonna do now, let me do the from bumper view, I think, so that you guys are able to see the actual layout. And that's the whole coaster. It's pretty good. It's short. It fits 6 trains, but it is perfectly perfectly synchronized so that there's always a train waiting over here by the time this train has to leave. So yeah, as you guys can see, this train is going to leave now, and it is leaving for now. It's going to wait here. This is a block section, and then this train, as soon as this train leaves, this one goes in. So yeah, it is really well synchronized because there's always going to be a train over here, and there's always a train. And yeah, that's basically everything. I didn't touch anything else. I didn't forget about the whole situation over here that I need to change, because this is absolutely horrendous, but I need to change it, and I will change it eventually, sometime. I don't know when, but I will. And I also need to add a station over here. I also want to change this whole system of the parking lot, or I might not. I don't know. I actually think that it's acceptable, maybe, but I don't know. And then we'll have to complete the whole area over here. We will. But yeah, there's that. There's not much else to say today. So yeah, that's been the whole episode for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Give it a thumbs up if it was of your liking. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. It is completely free, and you can always change your mind later. And with that being said, don't forget to leave me a comment of what you want to see next in this series or in a random series anywhere. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. See you guys. Bye.